Hello everybody, it's Maya Joy Kana, and in today's video I am going to be covering what I eat in a day. So typically, as you guys know, I normally do videos about true love and what it's like to be psychic, but I really also am very passionate about health and wellness, and so in today's video I wanted to cover what I eat in a day, and as the title says, this is OMAD, otherwise known as one meal a day. This is also vegan, and it's also no sugar added, and it's also gluten-free, and it's also soy-free, so it's a really, really healthy meal. So I wanted to actually jump in today just by showing you what I'm about to eat, and then while I'm eating, I'm going to explain why I eat this way and what the benefits are, and also the supplements that I take every day to help me spiritually and help me physically, and I'll also be covering the calorie and nutrition information. This is the main thing that I'm about to eat, and I'm not sure if you can see it, but at the bottom is a whole bunch of baked fruit. It's like 3 baked apples and like a dozen dried fruit items like prunes and raisins, and then berries in it as well, and it makes a nice, really, really tasty sort of dressing for the spinach that's on top of it. And this is about, if you know those really, really big boxes of spinach that they sell at the store, this is about 1/3 of one of those boxes. On top of that is a whole bunch of white jasmine rice, and I used to be afraid of white rice, but it's actually been really, really nourishing for me. And then there's a can of chickpeas, a can of pinto beans, you can kind of see them a little bit there. And then on top of that is a whole bunch of salsa, 1/3 of a container of hummus. And with all of this, I'm also going to be having some bananas, and I will also be having some lemon water with added minerals. So that's what we're going to be having today, and let's jump in and get started. Okay, so we have so much to discuss. First of all, what is OMAD? So the O stands for one, M stands for meal, A stands for A, and D stands for D. So OMAD is eating one meal a day. And well, at first, this may sound like some sort of crazy diet. I have actually found it to be really, really natural and to come with a huge load of benefits. So there's many reasons why people switch to just eating one giant meal a day as opposed to eating several meals a day. But here are the reasons why I eat this way and how I evolved to eating just once a day. So the main reason why I eat one meal a day is because I work as a psychic, and so all throughout the day, I am basically in a trance state. I'm basically just in a complete trance state and a meditative state, and I find that eating disrupts that state. So I want to stay as clear as possible, and I want to take all my energy during the day, and I want to put it into my readings, and I don't want any of my energy to go into digestion or any other unnecessary bodily functions. So that is the number one reason why I fast all throughout the day. And I usually fast until about 6 p.m. or 6:30, and we'll talk more about that later. But I really like the clarity that comes from being in a fasted state. The next main reason why I eat one meal a day is because of the time savings. There's a lot of demand on my time, and it really is quite a lot to cook fresh meals 3 or 4 times a day and to clean up after those meals, and I find that it really takes me out of the flow of life. So it really saves a lot of time just eating one meal a day, doing all the cooking just once, and then cleaning up just once. Now on to health benefits. The main reason why I continue to eat one meal a day in terms of the health reasons is because of the fact that when you fast after a certain amount of time, most studies suggest that it occurs after 16 hours of fasting, your body starts to kill off diseased cells and to replace them with new cells. Now, this is something that especially occurs in the brain, and within my family, there are a lot of neurological diseases like narcolepsy and several sleeping disorders, and there's incidence of cancer as well. And so knowing that I have this in my genetics, I wanted to give my body the best chance of being able to kill off any cells that might be diseased. And I myself had gotten very, very sick a couple of years ago and been in and out of the hospital for months. And so I know that my body was struggling, and I wanted just to help my body to just fight off any cells that needed to be destroyed. Now, when you fast, it also improves your body composition, or this is what I had experienced, and as I'll be discussing in a moment, I evolved into eating once per day, but before that, I experimented with other types of fasting, and what I noticed is that the composition of my body improved dramatically, meaning that my body was burning a lot more fat as opposed to burning muscle, and I started to look like an athlete, even when I was not doing any exercise. During some of the time that I started fasting, I was doing no exercise at all, and yet my abs became defined, my arm muscles became defined, and you would have thought that I was exercising a ton every day. So I really liked the way that my body started to look and feel as a result of fasting. Another reason why I eat this way or benefit is that it's much easier to track my nutrition. Now, astrologically, I have my North Node in the 6th house, which means I actually have a karmic responsibility to do a good job with my nutrition. And I know for a fact for most of my life, I was not hitting my nutritional targets. And I had a lot of signs and symptoms of being deficient in many vitamins and many minerals. And I found it just very, very difficult and very, very tricky to track everything that was going into my body when I was eating throughout the entire day. So it is much easier for me to plan and to make sure that I'm getting all of my nutrients when it's just happening at once, in one sitting. So it's very, very efficient, and I like that efficiency. The other reason why I eat once a day is because it's enjoyable. It's basically like Thanksgiving every single day of my life. And it's just so nice to sit down and to just eat a giant meal. And it's so fun as well, like if you're out to dinner with friends or family, to be able to order like 2 or 3 entrees and just eat them and just enjoy the experience. I don't know, I've really come to love this way of eating. So how in the world did I come to eating just once a day? Well, this is something that my body, believe it or not, actually started to do naturally. So I came from a background, of course, of eating 3 meals a day plus snacks like most people do. When I became a psychic and started doing readings and started caring for my body, I started doing a lot of detoxification. And I started doing like coffee enemas in the morning and doing oil pulling and taking salt baths at the start of every day and doing all these things that require you to be in a fasted state, more or less. Like you can't really take a salt bath when you've just eaten a big meal or you'll feel really nauseous. So I was doing all these things where I had to be fasted. And so it just naturally evolved where at first, I was doing my detox routine in the morning and I wasn't able to eat until lunch. So at first I was just fasting until noon, and then I would eat a meal and start my readings and go on. And then as time went on, it just sort of slowly, that time when I would start eating, it just slowly got pushed back. I just wasn't hungry. For a long time, I was only eating dinner. I would eat like a dinner with Zaire at like 5:30, and then I would eat another dinner at like 9. But basically, for like a year, I was eating just between 5 and 9. I was eating solid food, but during the day, I would have liquids like smoothies and just I would drink like whole milk and stuff. That was before I was vegan. So anyway, I would eat liquids all during the day and just solids at night. And so I really transitioned into eating 1 meal a day over a year and a half. And I think that we should be kind to our bodies and not just force our bodies into just fasting 23 hours a day if we're used to eating 3 meals a day. But anyway, the time just slowly got pushed back, and it became 5 before I was eating, and then it became 6, and then here I am eating at 6. So there are actually many different ways to do OMAD. How I do it is that I don't eat at all until 6 o'clock, and during the day, I basically drink mineralized lemon water. I don't really drink anything other than that. Technically, you could drink black coffee or any type of drink that didn't have any calories, because if you consume anything with calories, then you're not fasting. So anyway, I just have lemon water, or sometimes I'll have ginger tea or something like that. And then when 6 o'clock rolls around, or 6:30, I will eat a giant meal like the one that you see me eating here. And typically I'm only eating for about an hour a day. This day happened to be for 55 minutes. And for the other 23 hours of the day, I am fasting. That sounds really dramatic, but it doesn't feel dramatic at all. It feels totally natural. For a long, long time after I eat, I'm completely full. So I definitely don't feel hungry most of the time, that is for sure. Now, in terms of what I eat according to the principles of Ayurvedic medicine. So I eat according to my dosha. I am primarily the Vata type with a little bit of Vata Pitta. So what you see me eating is according to that. If you have a different type of dosha, then it might not be a good idea to eat huge quantities of white rice and fruit, for example. But for me, that works really well. What I eat changes a lot according to the season. So I was eating this meal in really late fall, which is the time when digestion is the worst. So that's why I'm eating baked and seasoned fruit rather than eating fresh fruit, for example, and that's why I'm eating white rice rather than eating brown rice, and that's why I'm eating like steamed spinach instead of fresh spinach. If I had filmed this in the summer, I would be eating tons of raw fruits and vegetables, but that is simply just not seasonally appropriate for me. In terms of my vegan diet and all the sort of restrictions that I mentioned at the beginning, like being soy-free and gluten-free, basically what I try to do is I have an extremely sensitive body and sensitive disposition. I'm sensitive to everything: food types, environmental toxins, and chemicals, and scents and sounds, and the whole smorgasbord of all the things that you can be sensitive to. So basically, I try to eat an allergen-free diet for the most part. I just try to minimize my consumptions of allergens, like eggs and like soy and like gluten and like peanuts and all of that stuff. I just try to keep it out of my diet as much as I can. Now, I also wanted to talk about the things that I consume that are not food, because I believe that these things are really important. Now, there seems to be a very strange debate within the vegan community as to whether it is a good idea to take supplements. For me, this is not a debate. I have seen so many people transition to a vegan diet and initially just feel so great and so energized, but then after several months or after a year or a couple years, they start to get really tired and they simply do not feel good anymore. And I believe that this is because vegan diets are naturally lower or even deficient in a couple of important vitamins and minerals, the most important of which is vitamin B12. So if we want to be able to sustain a vegan diet, I think it's just common sense to supplement with the things that our diet is naturally low in. Some vegans just take a B12 supplement, which I think could be good, but technically the absorption is a lot better if you take a vitamin B complex. So I take that every day in the morning when I wake up, along with the DIM supplement. I call it DIM. I'm not sure if that's what you're really supposed to call it, but basically it's an extract of cruciferous vegetables. And I have found this to be absolutely exceptional for detoxing excess estrogens and phytoestrogens from our bodies. It's amazing for anyone who suffers from PMS or endometriosis or polycystic ovarian syndrome, or even for men who are exhibiting feminine body traits. It will really lower your estrogen levels, and that has been very, very helpful for me as I am healing endometriosis. I have actually healed it completely. In addition to that, I also take zinc because my diet is very heavy and high in copper. So in order to balance that, I take a zinc supplement every day. It also helps with digestion when you're eating this quantity of food. In addition to that, I do take flax oil every day, and I add in vitamin D along with that. I take flax oil because it's excellent for mental health and for the brain. It's very high in omega-3s, and typically plant-based diets are dominated by omega-6s, especially if you are eating a lot of peanut butter or nut butter. So I take the flax oil to bring balance from omega-3 to omega-6. And I also, not every day, but a couple times per week, I will also take the Oxylent prenatal vitamin that's pictured here as well. It's a powder and it forms a drink that's really, really delicious, and that is no sugar added. And I should have mentioned that because that is actually the most important dietary principle that I always follow. I never eat added sugar at all. So it's a no sugar added supplement drink, and I take the prenatal version because it's very high in iron, which is important for women. So that has just helped me just to know that all my bases are covered. In addition to that, I also take some herbs to help with digestion, as that's very important when you're eating giant quantities. So after I finish eating, I take the Ayurvedic herb, Trikatu, which is basically like pepper and ginger and some things that help to stimulate your digestion. And then at night, before I go to bed, I will also take some Triphala with warm water. And that is a colon cleanser and regenerator. And I take as well the haritaki, which is all considered Buddha's herb. And let me just tell you, for anybody that is looking to expand and awaken their third eye, I would very strongly suggest that you take your haritaki. And I take it as a powder shown here. So with all of my supplements and the food that I'm eating, I get more than enough nutrition, which you can see here in my charts from Chronometer. So I do not actually input my consumption of food into Chronometer every day because I have a sense of what I'm eating now after tracking it for a while. But as you can see on this particular day, I consumed almost 2,800 calories. Now my Chronometer tells me every day that I am going to get fat, but that is not what has happened. Like, I think I've actually lost like 10 pounds or something since I started doing this, and that's a lot for me because of how petite I actually am. So it seems I am able to eat more than the calories that I need and still lose weight, so it might be a little bit magical in that sense. But yeah, I more than hit almost all of my targets this day, except for calcium, and typically a couple times a week I'll eat like a ton of cooked broccoli, which gives me a big dose of calcium in one sitting. But yeah, I got way more than enough protein, as you can see here, and I got all of my vitamins and minerals. So this has been a really, really fun and exciting and nutritious way of eating for me, and I really hope that you have enjoyed learning a little bit more about it. And as always, I just want to say thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching my videos. I hope you have enjoyed this one. I've been wanting to do a what I eat in a day for a long time, so I hope that it helps all of you to get inspired about your health and wellness. So thank you again for watching. Have a beautiful, beautiful day, and namaste.